Today, you can easily spend like $1,700 on a Wi-Fi-enabled, algorithm-driven robotic nurse to just rock your baby to sleep.
Right, which is wild.
It is. But then, according to public health data, we as a society are still totally failing at the most basic, entirely free rule of infant survival, which literally just placing a baby on a flat mattress with absolutely nothing else around them. Welcome to the deep dive.
It's a really stark contrast, isn't it? I mean, you've got this hyper-advanced technology sitting right next to a fundamental breakdown in basic safety.
Yeah, and that tension is exactly what makes the modern infant sleep environment so, well, fascinating to look into.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a stressful environment for a lot of people.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like, if you've ever looked into preparing for a baby, you know the feeling. It's not like picking up a new hobby where you just buy some gear and figure it out as you go.
No, not at all.
It feels like you were suddenly enrolled in this intense PhD program where the syllabus changes every single week, the stakes are terrifyingly high, and, the gear is endlessly expensive.
Yeah, the cost alone is staggering.
So today we are taking a massive stack of diverse sources to try and figure this out. We've got public health data, premium brand marketing material, Reddit threads from exhausted parents, financial advice, and some really in-depth product reviews.
Right. And the mission here is to use all of that to decode what a baby actually needs to sleep safely and comfortably. We really want to cut through the relentless marketing noise for you.
Exactly, because it is loud out there.
It's deafening. So we are going to examine everything from like the molecular makeup of a fitted sheet to that $1,700 robotic bassinet you mentioned.
Because infant sleep basically sits right at this chaotic intersection of strict medical guidelines, parental exhaustion, and a multi-billion-dollar consumer market.
It really does.
But before we can even talk about what you should or shouldn't put on your baby registry, we really have to establish the rules of the game. Like, why is infant sleep so heavily regulated in the first place?
To understand that, we have to look at the numbers. And for this, we looked at the Illinois Department of Public Health PRAMS data. That's from 2020 to 2022.
And PRAM stands for Pregnancy Risk Assessment Monitoring System, right?
Correct. And the numbers here are pretty sobering, honestly. SUI, or sudden unexpected infant death, is the third leading cause of infant death in Illinois.
Wow. Third leading cause.
Yeah, and the vast majority of those tragedies are directly sleep-related, which is exactly why the American Academy of Pediatrics, the AAP, has established these incredibly strict rules.
Which are, on paper, pretty simple.
Right. An infant must sleep alone on their back on a firm, flat, non-inclined surface. And crucially, there should be absolutely nothing in that sleep environment except a fitted sheet.
So no pillows, no toys, no loose bedding, nothing.
Exactly. Completely bare.
But I think the underlying mechanism of why those rules exist is what really matters here, because it's not just about a baby physically suffocating under a heavy quilt, right?
No, it's often far more subtle than that. The core issue with loose bedding or, say, plush toys is something called carbon dioxide rebreathing.
Carbon dioxide rebreathing. Okay, break that down for us.
Sure. So imagine a baby turning their face into a plush bumper pad. They exhale carbon dioxide, right? And because the material is soft and poorly ventilated, that CO2 gets trapped in a little pocket right in front of their face.
Oh, wow.
And because a tiny infant doesn't have the neck strength or even the neurological maturity to just simply lift their head and move away from that pocket, they just keep inhaling that same trapped, oxygen-depleted air.
So they essentially suffocate on their own exhaled breath.
Yes, exactly.
That is terrifying. Just completely terrifying. And I think it makes the actual behavior of parents in this data set incredibly frustrating to look at.
It does. It's a tough read.
Because in 2022, 84.3% of infants were put to sleep on their backs, which, sounds like a solid B grade. But when you dig into the demographics, you see these massive disparities.
All right. It's not an even spread.
Exactly. Like for mothers under 20 years old, that safe sleep number drops to just 66.1%.
And beyond just the sleep position itself, we see the persistence of active hazards right in the crib.
The stuff that causes that CO2 rebreathing.
Right. Despite decades of warnings about that exact danger, the data shows that 33.5% of infants still sleep with a blanket.
A third of them?
Yeah. And even more shockingly, 10% are sleeping in a crib with bumper pads.
Wait, okay, let's pause here. Because if you're a parent, or really anyone who's been near a pregnant person, you are bombarded with this back-to-sleep, empty crib messaging.
It's everywhere.
Right. It's like knowing you're supposed to wear a seatbelt, but consciously choosing not to, Why is there such a massive disconnect between the medical consensus and what parents are actually doing at like 2 in the morning?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Are parents just willfully ignoring the doctors? Or is something else going on here?
Well, if we look closely at the PRAMS data, it points heavily toward a systemic communication gap rather than willful defiance.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, healthcare workers are actually doing a great job hitting the primary message. Like 93.8% of them tell parents to put babies on their backs to sleep.
That's a huge majority.
It is. But the secondary, equally critical messages, those are completely falling through the cracks. For example, only 59.2% of healthcare workers inform mothers to place the crib in the same room as them.
Which is a huge recommendation for reducing SUI risk.
Huge. I mean, room sharing without bed sharing reduces the risk significantly.
And why is that exactly?
It's partly because the ambient noise of the parents moving around, coughing, shifting in bed, it keeps the baby from falling into an abnormally deep, unarousable state of sleep.
Oh, that makes so much sense. I never thought about the noise factor.
Yeah, it's fascinating. But if nearly half of mothers aren't even being told about room sharing, it means the entire safe sleep education system is just being distributed unevenly. Parents are walking out of the hospital with this fragmented understanding of the rules.
Right. And then they are left to figure out the practical day-to-day logistics on their own. Because, if loose blankets and bumpers are totally off the table, that means the fitted sheet is effectively the only thing allowed in the bassinet with the baby.
The one single thing.
And if you've ever spent time with a newborn, you know they are messy, like constantly messy. So how do you practically manage an empty crib when babies are spitting up all the time?
This is where we have to transition from abstract medical guidelines to the literal 2 a.m. reality.
Yes, please.
According to our source from Mama's Buzz, most bassinet mattresses come wrapped in a waterproof pad. Functionally, this is essential.
Because of the mess.
Right. A baby's bodily fluids are highly acidic. If spit up or a diaper leak soaks into a porous foam mattress, you can't wash it. It just becomes a breeding ground for bacteria and mold. So the mattress has to be completely sealed in plastic.
Sure, but no adult would want to sleep directly on a crinkly, cold plastic tarp, so we shouldn't really expect a baby to.
Exactly. You have to cover it. But because of the tangling and suffocation risks we just laid out, you can't just tuck a loose blanket around the mattress.
It has to be secure.
Right. The sheet has to be either fully elasticized with deep pockets, or it needs to be an envelope-style cover. The Halo brand makes great envelope sheets for their bassinets, actually.
Oh, like a pillowcase.
Exactly. They slide over the mattress just like a pillowcase and zip shut. The point is, it absolutely cannot slide around, pool in the corners, or get pulled up by a flailing baby.
Okay, so since that single fitted sheet is your only line of defense between the baby and a plastic mattress, you're going to go through a lot of them.
So many.
Which brings me to this brilliant logistical hack from one of our sources. We looked at a Reddit thread from the baby bumps community, and users there mapped out what they call the rule of 3 for bassinet sheets.
The golden rule.
Right, the math is simple. You need one sheet on the bed, one in the wash, and one clean spare in the closet.
It's the minimum viable inventory for a functional nursery.
But the real genius from that thread is what parents call the lasagna method.
I love this one.
It's so smart. Imagine, it's 3 a.m., right? The baby's diaper has completely failed, and the bassinet is just soaked. You do not want to be wrestling a clean, tight-fitted sheet onto a mattress in the dark while a baby is screaming at you.
Nobody wants that.
So, proactively, you layer the bed like a lasagna, you put down a fitted sheet, then lay a waterproof mattress protector over it, and then put another fitted sheet right on top of that.
It's an incredible survival tactic.
Yeah.
When the inevitable mess happens, you just peel off the top 2 layers, the soiled sheet, and the middle protector, toss them in the hamper, and boom.
Oh.
You instantly have a fresh, perfectly applied sheet ready to go underneath.
It saves you like 5 minutes of wrestling with fabric in the dark, which honestly feels like 5 hours when you haven't slept in a week.
Oh, easily. And you will be doing this constantly, because Mama's Buzz points out something else I found really fascinating. Babies shed.
Wait, like dogs?
Kind of. Around the 3-month mark, babies naturally start losing all that fuzzy newborn hair.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's a physiological process called telogen effluvium. It has to do with the massive drop in maternal hormones after birth.
Right. So you suddenly find these little hairballs accumulating all over the bassinet sheet, which means you have to wash them even more frequently to maintain a clean environment.
Exactly.
And if you're washing these sheets constantly, and this single piece of fabric is literally the only material touching your baby's skin for 12 to 16 hours a day, suddenly the material science behind that sheet becomes incredibly important.
It really does, and this is exactly where the premium consumer market steps in to fill the void.
Cue the expensive ads.
Right, because if you're a parent, your anxiety's high. You know you can't use blankets to keep the baby warm, but you also know babies have immature thermoregulation.
They can't control their temperature well.
Exactly. Their circulatory systems are still developing, and they don't sweat efficiently like adults do, so they can overheat very quickly in synthetic fabrics.
Which is exactly why brands like Kite Baby heavily market their sheets as breathable and ultra-soft. They are tapping directly into a parent's desire to provide warmth and comfort while still strictly adhering to that only a sheet rule.
But when you look deeper into the actual supply chain behind these premium breathable materials, as we did with our source from the trade publication Fiber to Fashion, you see a massive invisible infrastructure at work. We're primarily talking about organic cotton yarn here.
Now, I'll admit, when I hear organic cotton, a skeptical part of my brain just assumes it's like a buzzword used to justify a markup.
A lot of people think that.
Right. But the actual farming process is wild.
Yeah.
To legally earn that organic label, a farm has to undergo a rigorous 2 to 3 year conversion process.
Yes, it takes years.
They can't just switch seeds overnight.
Yeah.
They have to actively rehabilitate the soil, flushing out years of conventional chemicals, and commit to zero synthetic pesticides, herbicides, or genetically modified organisms.
And the downstream environmental impact of that choice is staggering. According to Fiber to Fashion, organic cotton farming uses 91% less blue water.
Blue water?
Yeah, blue water refers to surface water and groundwater, the stuff we pump out of lakes and aquifers.
Wait, hang on. How does just changing the seed save 91% of the water? That doesn't intuitively make sense to me.
Right, it seems weird, but it's all about the soil structure. Conventional cotton farming relies heavily on synthetic fertilizers, which essentially strips the soil of its natural organic matter.
Okay.
It turns the dirt into something resembling hard concrete, so when you water it, a lot of it just runs off. But organic farming rebuilds the complex biological structure of the soil.
Maybe said healthier.
Exactly. Healthy, organic soil acts like a giant sponge. It captures and retains natural rainfall far more efficiently, which drastically reduces the need for artificial irrigation. And furthermore, it emits 46% fewer greenhouse gases compared to conventional methods.
Okay, saving the planet is great. I love that. But if you're a sleep-deprived parent staring at your phone in the baby aisle, the environmental impact is probably secondary to immediate safety.
Naturally.
So how do you actually know the final sheet you're buying is safe for the baby to lick and sleep on?
To guarantee that safety, the textile industry relies on independent certifications, and the gold standard there is the OECOTEX Standard 100.
Okay, but OECOTEX isn't testing the dirt on the farm, though, right? They are testing the final packaged product you buy.
Precisely. OECOTEX takes the finished fabric and tests it for legally restricted and harmful substances, and they have different product classes based on who is actually using it.
Oh, we didn't know that.
Yeah. Product Class I is their absolute strictest category, specifically designed for the sensitive skin of babies and toddlers up to 36 months old. If a sheet has OECOTEX Class I certification, it means it is entirely free of heavy metals, toxic dyes, and formaldehyde.
Okay, stop right there. Formaldehyde.
Yeah.
Like the embalming fluid. Why on earth would formaldehyde be in a standard, non-certified baby sheet in the first place?
It's actually heavily used in the conventional textile industry to create wrinkle-free or crease-resistant finishes.
Are you serious?
Yes. It helps the sheets look perfectly crisp and clean when they are folded inside the plastic packaging on the store shelf. Heavy metals are also routinely used as fixatives to bind cheap synthetic dyes to the fabric so the colors don't bleed in the wash.
So they are coating conventional sheets in harsh chemicals,
Yeah.
literally just for the store aesthetics. That is wild to me.
It's pretty alarming when you realize it.
But here's the catch for the consumer. Fiber to Fashion notes that organic cotton makes up only 1 to 2% of total global cotton production.
It's a tiny fraction.
Right. So that extreme scarcity, combined with the expensive 2-year farm conversion and the rigorous OECOTEX testing, means organic cotton yarn costs 15 to 30% more than conventional yarn.
Yes, there's definitely a markup.
So are parents essentially just paying a 30% anxiety tax? Or does this actually matter for the baby's health?
I would argue it is absolutely more than an anxiety tax.
Yeah.
You have to remember, an infant's skin is significantly thinner and more permeable than an adult's.
It's more delicate.
Much more. When a baby sweats against a conventional sheet, their pores can actually absorb those trace formaldehyde resins and heavy metal dye fixatives, and that can lead to severe contact dermatitis, rashes, and allergic reactions.
Ouch.
Right. The OECO-TEX certification guarantees those chemical residues are absent, so the premium price tag is actually buying a functional biological upgrade for the baby's skin. It's not just a greenwashed marketing gimmick.
All right, so if we take a step back and synthesize everything so far, we know the rules. Flat surface, baby on their back.
Yep.
We know the logistics.
Yep.
A waterproof pad, multiples of a certified organic fitted sheet, and maybe a wearable sleep sack for warmth. If you look at that list, it is incredibly short.
Very short. It's basically a mattress and some fabric.
Right. So why do modern baby registries end up with hundreds of specialized battery-operated items?
Honestly, because of the commercialization of preparedness.
Oh, I like that phrase.
Well, when you are facing the unknown of a first child, buying things feels like gaining control. You want to be ready for every possible niche scenario. But an article we pulled from Ally Financial on top baby registry regrets brilliantly cuts through this clutter.
Yeah, they interviewed experienced parents about what you absolutely should not buy.
Right. And the list of regrets is long and very specific. Let's start with the wipe warmer.
Now, see, it sounds like a great idea. Nobody wants an icy wet wipe at 2 a.m.
The logic makes total sense to a new parent, but the reality is that babies adapt very quickly to room temperature wipes unless you habituate them to warm ones.
Oh, so you create a monster.
Exactly. If you use a warmer, they become dependent on that specific temperature, and the moment you try to change their diaper in a public restroom or at a park with a regular room temperature wipe, they will scream.
Because it's cold to them.
Right. The experienced parent hack here. Just pull the wipe out and scrunch it in your warm hand for 20 seconds before using it. It's free and it doesn't plug into the wall.
It's honestly like outfitting a professional commercial kitchen before you've ever even learned how to boil an egg.
That's a perfect analogy.
Like, why would you buy a highly specialized $200 baby food maker when you already have a steamer basket and a blender sitting in your cupboards?
You wouldn't, or you shouldn't anyway. The Ally article also targets those massive diaper disposal systems, the ones that require you to buy proprietary, expensive plastic bag refills for the next 2 years.
Just to throw away diapers.
Right. A simple, small, lidded trash can that you empty daily works exactly as well. They also warn against buying bulk quantities of a single brand of bottle.
Because of nipple confusion or whatever.
Well, babies are just notoriously picky about nipple shape and milk flow. If you pre-buy 30 anti-colic bottles, your baby might utterly reject them and you've wasted hundreds of dollars.
That is so frustrating.
Yeah.
And I think the most crucial registry regret listed in the Ally article circles us right back to our very first source, the public health data.
Yes, the matching crib bedding sets.
Experienced parents deeply regret buying them.
The classic nursery in a bag.
They look incredible on Instagram, sure. But wait, if we know from the AAP and the PRAMS data that bumper pads and heavy quilts actively cause carbon dioxide rebreathing and SUI'd, why are they legally allowed to be sold in these matching registry sets?
It's wild, isn't it?
Isn't that a massive regulatory failure?
It is a massive friction point between medical science and consumer product regulation. Historically, consumer safety laws lag years or even decades behind medical consensus.
Wow.
Yeah. Bedding manufacturers argued for years that bumpers prevented babies from bumping their heads on the wooden slats. It's only very recently with the passage of the Federal Safe Sleep for Babies Act in the U.S. that padded bumpers are finally being universally banned from sale.
But for years, parents were paying a massive premium for a bedding set that was actively making their child's sleep environment more dangerous.
Simply because it matched the curtains.
That makes me so angry. But okay, so we've spent a lot of time talking about paring down, saving money, avoiding useless gadgets, and sticking to the basics. But we have to address the elephant in the nursery here. Because there is one piece of gear on the market right now that is incredibly expensive, but it actively tackles the exact safety and exhaustion issues we've been debating.
Ah, the SNOO.
The SNO Smart Sleeper.
The SNO is fascinating. It really is the ultimate collision of advanced technology, rigorous safety standards, and sheer parental desperation.
Based on an in-depth review by Fathercraft, the SNO retails for $1,695.
Such huge price tag.
Just to linger on that number,
Yeah.
nearly $1,700 for a bed that the baby will physically outgrow in about 6 months. That is a breathtaking amount of money.
It is a massive financial commitment, but let's look at the mechanics of what it actually does.
Okay, let's break it down.
So, the SNO was co-created by Dr. Harvey Karp. He's a very famous pediatrician who wrote The Happiest Baby on the Block, and industrial designer Yves Behar. It is functionally a robotic nurse. Yes. It has built-in microphones that constantly monitor the baby. The moment it detects crying, algorithms trigger the bassinet to respond. It automatically cycles through varying levels of white noise and vigorous physical rocking to soothe the baby.
Simulating the womb, basically.
Exactly. It mimics the chaotic, loud, moving environment of the womb.
But the truly revolutionary part of the SNOO and how it connects directly back to the AAP safe sleep rules is the swaddle.
The snoo sack.
Right. The SNO comes with a highly specialized snoo sack. You zip the baby into it, and then the swaddle has these firm, attached wings on the sides. You physically slide these wings into clips attached to the sides of the bassinet.
And that is the critical engineering detail. By clipping the swaddle to the bed, it acts like a 5-point harness in a car seat.
Wow.
It mechanically anchors the baby in place. It is physically impossible for the baby to roll over onto their stomach while they are sleeping.
That's incredible.
And because it mechanically enforces the AAP's #1 rule of back sleeping, the SNO earned de novo FDA approval in 2023.
Meaning, it's the first device of its kind recognized by the FDA to actively keep sleeping babies safely positioned. That is an incredible engineering feat.
It really is. And the Fathercraft review confirms that for parents who are terrified of the SUI statistics we discussed earlier, that physical guarantee provides profound peace of mind.
We can imagine.
But the review also touches on the complex psychological weight of actually using the device.
Right, because this raises a really uncomfortable question about modern parenting. The reviewer explicitly mentioned experiencing what he called SOO guilt.
SNO guilt.
Yeah, he felt a pang of inadequacy that a Wi-Fi-enabled machine was successfully soothing his fussy child when he couldn't. Like, are we outsourcing fundamental human bonding to a robot?
It's a totally natural fear to have, but I think we have to reframe how we look at parental exhaustion.
How so?
Well, the reviewer countered that guilt by describing what he called magic moments. Scenarios where he could actually get some work done or just spend an uninterrupted hour with his wife because the SNO was handling a baby who just needed some rhythmic rocking.
Right, because lack of sleep is brutal.
It's more than brutal. The severe lack of sleep for new parents isn't just a minor inconvenience. It is a genuine, documented public health crisis that leads to postpartum depression, severe anxiety, and cognitive impairment.
That's a really good point.
If a machine can safely buy a mother or father an extra 2 hours of deep sleep, it isn't outsourcing parenting. It's triage. It makes them safer, more emotionally regulated, and more present parents when they are actually awake.
Okay, I love that perspective. It's triage. But even as a robotic marvel, the SNO isn't perfect, right?
Yeah.
The Fathercraft reviewer noted a very specific biological limitation.
Yeah, the congestion issue.
Right. When his baby developed severe nasal congestion from a cold, the SNO didn't help at all.
Because the SNO adheres to the strict AAP rule of keeping babies perfectly flat, it can be quite uncomfortable for a congested baby whose sinuses are draining.
Right. You want to be propped up a bit when you have a cold.
Exactly. Though, to their credit, the company behind the SNO, our Happiest Baby, actually listened to this exact consumer feedback. They now sell $24 leg lifters that slightly elevate just the head of the bassinet to help with congestion while still maintaining the safety of the clips.
Okay, but even with modifications, $1,700 is a massive gamble, especially if your baby turns out to be one of those naturally great sleepers who hates being rocked.
It happens, and that is exactly why the rental market for this device has exploded.
Oh, you can rent them.
Yes. For parents experiencing extreme sticker shock, Happiest Baby offers a direct rental program for $159 a month.
That is way more manageable.
Right. You rent it for the 4 to 6 months you actually need it, and then you send it back to be refurbished. It fundamentally changes the math from a luxury asset purchase to a temporary utility bill for better sleep.
So if you're a prospective parent listening to this right now, what does all of this mean? We started out noting how preparing for a baby feels like a constantly shifting PhD program.
Yeah, it really does.
And looking at all the mechanisms we've explored today, it really is a complex puzzle.
You're navigating an intersection of strict medical data, advanced textile science, consumer psychology that preys on your worst fears, and your own very real, desperate exhaustion.
Right. You are trying to follow the rule that says, put them on their back with nothing but a sheet, while actively dodging marketing for dangerous crib bumpers.
While totally sleep deprived.
Exactly. You're trying to figure out if an organic cotton sheet is worth a 30% markup to keep formaldehyde off your baby's skin, while simultaneously debating if you should rent a robot to rock them to sleep. It is a lot.
It is a lot. But if you strip away the marketing, the core takeaway is incredibly simple. Safety first, simplicity second. A firm mattress, a tight, chemically safe sheet, and a baby on their back. Almost everything else is just noise.
Well said. And as we wrap up, we want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought from that Alley Financial article about registry regrets.
Oh, this is a good one.
It's a perfect example of how we let aesthetics override biology. The article highlights the overwhelming regret of buying baby shoes.
It's completely true. Biologically, babies do not need shoes until they are actively walking around outside.
Which takes a while.
Yeah, that developmental milestone might not happen until they are anywhere from 9 to 18 months old. In fact, keeping them barefoot is vastly better for the physical development of their foot muscles and their balance.
Yet, we spend billions of dollars every year on tiny, immaculate, unwalked-in sneakers anyway.
Just for the photos, really.
Right. And it's the perfect metaphor for this entire deep dive. It invites you to look at every single piece of baby gear you are thinking about buying and ask yourself one fundamental question. Is this biologically necessary for my baby's safety and development? Or is it just an aesthetic accessory designed to make me, the parent, feel a little more in control?
If you can honestly answer that question, you can navigate the baby aisle with a lot less stress.
Exactly. So next time you're staring at that jagged, murky landscape of baby gear, remember, you don't need a PhD to get it right. You just need to know how the mechanisms actually work. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.